Hi, welcome. My name is Reverend Carol Kiama, and this is Season 3 of Thoughts of a Shaken Pastor. In this season, we've been dealing with the whole issue of deconstruction. Why are people losing faith or walking out of faith? And why is it that other people who face the same things choose to stay in faith? Last week, we shared with you Ben's story. And this week, I'm so pleased to have Stella and to hear her part of the story. Welcome, Stella. Thank you for choosing to do this. Since I've known you for a long time.
Yes.
But just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name is Stella Wandario. I'm a born-again Christian. I got saved when I was a little girl, I think primary school. Came from a good background, home family, my mom, my brother. Went to school in where? We lived in Eastlands actually, back then. And then I went to high school in Kibwezi, then I went to Daystar, and we didn't meet in Daystar, did we?
We did.
Not in ICC?
No, we met in Daystar.
Yeah, so we met in Daystar.
Yeah.
And then after that, we got married 99. Yes. So this year we'll be doing 23 years. Yeah, and counting. We are blessed with 3 kids. Our firstborn, Baraka, is 21 this year. McKenna turns 14 this year, and Miles turns 10 this year. And what do? I'm an entrepreneur. I do travels and accommodation, alternative accommodation, that's on Airbnb. And then we do the shuttle services. So we ferry people up and down from the SGR to the airport to their destinations. So when you need that kind of transport in Mombasa, just call me.
And you do a good job.
Thank you.
You do a good job.
Yeah.
Now, last week we had Ben's story. And the thing that all of us were asking ourselves is, we must meet Stella. So thank you again for doing this. And I just want to hear, he talked, and I think one of the things is when we live with someone with an addiction, we never really realize just how much that draws from the people who surround you. Yeah. And I know we all have our hearts, hang-ups and habits. Yeah, hearts, hang-ups and habits. But how was the journey for you? I mean, I know Ben's side of the story, but you got married to a man who loves the Lord. You were serving together. So just walk us.
How was it? I don't know. Carol, to be honest, it's God's grace. I lived every day like in a zombie mood. When I look back, it was like a zombie mode. Reason being, on this day, we've gone to, I'll give the story back and forth. I can't chronologically really tell it, but I guess I will be able to tell it at the end of the day. When we went to rehab, when my husband checked into rehab, and we were doing dates, and he had lived in addiction for 13 years.
Almost as long as you had.
13 years, we were doing our 17th anniversary, 3 days from that day. And I sat back and I asked, it's been 13 years. I mean, like, I just don't know. But anyway, it was not easy. It was tough. It was painful. I had no friends. As in, I had I'm a people's person. So at some point, I mean, you know me, Carol, we had people all over us. We had friends everywhere. When we were doing well, I mean, we didn't have issues per se. We had friends. But as soon as the walls started crumbling,
people just scattered.
People just scattered.
Let me ask you, Stella,
by yourself.
When did you know that there's a problem? Looking back.
I think from the onset. From the onset, I could tell there was a problem. But the problem right there, the denial. I was in complete denial that there was a problem. Complete denial that there was a problem. And we did not talk about it.
So you just see him like you'd be going out, he orders something, you just press ignore.
And you see, I didn't go out with him. That's the thing, I didn't go out with him. If he told you his story, if you listen to his story, he was paid to go out.
Yeah, yes.
He was paid to go out. His kind of job was go to the bars, go to the pubs, you're out there in the nightclubs or wherever, because of the brand that he did anyway. And even when he was not in that particular industry, still, even when he was now working for corporates, they were still needing to go out and do promos. And yes.
Because he was in sales.
Yes. So he'll go out, drink, come back. Then there was a period where he walked away from us. So then the habit continues. I mean, you call, he's not picking calls in the morning. I mean, it was just a rat race. It was just horrible. And then now when he came home now to work from here, it was evident that we had a problem. But no amount of talking was working. It didn't matter who I called. In fact, if I called anyone to talk to him, he'll now do it double. Like, why are you doing this? I know what I'm doing. Even if it was his parents. His parents came to my home a million times until I stopped. I called on his friends to talk to him. Nobody would hear any of it. So I said, you know what? Let me do this my way. And my way was, of course, I concentrated. Let me tell you what I did, Carol. My coping mechanism was my children. I gave my all to my kids. My all. Let me tell you, my kids have had the best of me during that entire time when my husband was an active addict. Best. They performed the best in school. They were at their best because I gave my all to my children. That was the only time, that was my way of just blocking this madness and put it on the children. I served like crazy. I served like crazy, as in my space, my safe space. But not that it was not interfered with, eh? Yeah, sometimes he wouldn't even let me do it. Church is out by midday. He'll be calling by 1:45, midday. I'm in church, but he's calling. Are you not done? You need to come. And I'm like, okay, I need to stay a bit, talk to my friends, have some fellowship, but he's sick. One thing people need to understand, addiction is not about morals. It's not a moral problem. No, addiction is a sickness. The same way you'd have malaria and go get treated for malaria. That's what addiction is. So when you start dealing with it like it's a moral issue, you lose the plot. But when you look at it as a sickness, as an illness, maybe, just perhaps maybe, you'll be able to deal with your loved one. But at what point do you change that? Or when do you realize that this needs to be moved to something else, yeah? So he would do such things. My husband was crazy. I mean, I look back now, I laugh at it because I think it was like stupid.
Just tell us what were some of these stupid things.
The madness. Oh my goodness. Listen, is church over? Okay, when are you coming home now? And he will keep calling and keep calling and keep calling. And when we get home, he's not there. I'll use this word. It's a Kikuyu word. You know me. Kuigatwa. You know, he gathers his goats to go home, but he's not there. Once we are home, he's happy. My family is at home and it's safe, but he's nowhere to be found. He's gone drinking. And he won't call again. And then you wonder, okay, why were you hurrying me to come home? I should have been with my friends for lunch, taken the kids somewhere for swimming, but no. Tunafungiwa tu. Tunafungiwa tu kwa nyumba. And then, you know, when you're an addict, you're no longer in control of your life. Yani, it becomes completely unmanageable. Yeah, and that now was bad because work was completely unmanageable. Kabisa. And he lost his job, one after the other after the other. Okay? You have bills, you have kids, you have school fees. You have a lot of things to do. So that leaves me to run the family business alone. I'll make the mistakes, all of them, from A to Z. I'll make them. One, because I don't even have the proper mind frame to concentrate. I want to work. I'm working hard to bring in the money. But then again, I am not so sure about this money because as soon as it comes, it goes. You're paying funny bar bills. Yani, he even had membership in bars,
Unapatiwa ya credit.
Unakunywa tu alafu end month kabil kanaingia sijui 30k. Like seriously? Anyway, that was my husband for you, but God's grace. So, fast forward, it became unmanageable for me. I started getting, now, like, what is it called? Projecting. Anger. I was upset most of the time. I was unhappy. I was crying all the time. I was irritable. And I'm not talking about that in a short span, over time. 2 years, 3 years, like that. I was projecting all these things that were going on behind the scenes. And it was
In the meantime,
evident.
you're Christians, you're coming to church, putting up that.
Oh, and he'll come with me to church, We'll come to church. Then halfway, he had a binge last night. So he's not like properly awake. He's still having a hangover. But we'll come to church. And he'll sit through worship. When the sermon starts, he doesn't like the face of the pastor. Puchu, he leaves. And he will just stagger out. And I'm serious, he will stagger out of church in the face of everyone and feels nothing. Yeah,
And you're both leaders.
No, at that point, no, he wasn't. At that point, no, it was like out.
Lakini mnajulikana.
Lakini sasa, just hata hiyo embarrassment tunaendanisha nayo wapi?
Shaisha.
Ukioneka, ule ni ule Stella, ule bwanake mlevi. That's how you're described. Not Stella, that nice happy girl, that
the
beautiful
singer.
girl, that singer. Bwanake ule mlevi, uyo, that one. Uyo, that's how you're described. Ni watoto ule jamaa ukunywa, like that. Like for real. And you kind of just think, enyewe. Or you walk into space where people are talking, they see you, they stop talking. Because you're not one of them. You're not in a good marriage. Your marriage is bad.
And you're doing your best.
Circles, couples, no, we don't need you here. You're not perfect. As
and
in,
how did
what
you
do you have to give? What do you have to give here? What example do you have to give? Is there? Hakuna. Anyway, one day, the journey started. I stopped paying attention to him. Kabisa, you come home drunk? You're home, sawa. I'm good. Let me tell you, Carol, what I used to do. He comes home, I open the door and I stand like this. I read the Bible from Genesis to Revelation. Msomo. Then I let him in the house. Then I go and repent. Why? Because I had been on my knees telling God, please bring my husband home safely. Then I'm thinking, what? Okay, anyway, that. Then I thought, no. And then I don't sleep. Then I got into my own bad habit of watching movies, Nigerian movies. Those were my calming, So I start, and binging starts on Thursday. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Those are 4 nights I will not sleep, Carol. For real. Because Thursday night, I'll watch a movie until he comes home. When I hear the car, I switch off and I pretend I was asleep. So if he comes on at 4 a.m., that's the time I go to bed. Which may not even be the case because I have to warm food, give him his meals, nini, so I won't sleep. The next day, I'm going to work. Him is nursing his hangovers and then he'll go to work later or whatever. Then Friday night, I don't sleep at all back at a.m. because he won't come until 6 in the morning. Then Sunday, he'll go and do it again. So Monday morning, it was like that. So then one day I thought, what about me? What am I doing for Stella? And I stopped and I told God, give me sleep. I need to sleep. So nipe usingizi, nilale. So I'd sleep. Then I stopped sommering him. Yeah, when he comes, I don't give him quarrels. Now, no, I became a good wife. Warm his food, serve his food, put it in the microwave, and put the timer. For real. Then all he has to do is just press the button. Warm, bas. Then I thought, no. Then one day he fell. He slipped in the house and fell. Bad fall, and I didn't know. So I'm in my room. I know he has come. Why hasn't he come upstairs? To go and find a man lying unconscious in the living room. All the food has splattered everywhere. And I think, wow. And the dog was there. The dog he had left the door open. So the dog had come into the house and it was licking on him. And I could hear the dog making funny sounds. So I knew there was a problem. So when I came down, of course, I found him and I helped him up, cleaned him up, He was okay. So I stopped that. So now he'd come home and I'd ask him, do you want to eat? Yes. So I go downstairs, warm his food, give it to him, and he sleeps. Then now that's how I slowly worked on ignoring him. As in, whatever he does with his addiction and his life does not affect me. And he began to notice. And addicted people in addiction, do you know how they translate love? When you pay attention to them. Yeah? So when they come home and you ask them, where were you? Why have you come home at this time? That's love. You love them. And that's how they interpret it. If you don't ask, then you don't love them. So I stopped asking. So he interpreted that and he knew I'm not loved anymore. one of the things on my bucket list is to go to South Africa. Till now, sijaenda, but I hopefully I go. And he knows it. So this is now, what, 6 years back. He walks up to me and says, on your next birthday, I want to take you to SA. I said, I'm not going. I said, why? I said, for what? It's not going to be my holiday, it's going to be your holiday. You'll start drinking a week in advance continuously in eagerness to go to SA. By the time we bought that flight, you'll be drinking. By the time we get to our destination, you'll be completely drunk. And then during the stay, you'll just be a drunk. So why should I take all this away? If you want to go, I'll stay here. And he knew it was bad. How can I say no to something that means so much to me? Yes. That was like it. 3 weeks prior to this conversation, he comes to me on a Monday and really, really insults me. Like, and I knew
Was he abusive?
Verbally and emotionally, not physically. No.
Which is the worst? Because at least physical utasema niligongwa hapa.
Uligongwa hapa na unaona
Sasa
uligongwa,
emotional?
lakini emotion kuna venye inakukula vibaya. Maybe I'm the one who was physical to him, because sometimes I just slap the living daylights out of him. Like,
Sorry.
No, for real. Now,
For
you know, you can
real.
laugh.
I just can't believe.
Yeah, but, like, wake up, dude. Anyway, so this one day he walks up to me and he really talks trash. I was upset. But that is the one day I just had the Spirit, the Holy Spirit. Yani alikuja in person. Stella nyamaza. Like shush. I got up, went to my room, and I knelt down by my bedside. And I cried. And I cried and I told God, you know what? I really need to. I'm sorry. I've been trying to make this guy myself. I've been afraid to surrender him to you. Today, complete surrender. I am surrendering this guy to you 100%. Mkunje, mchune, mfinye, hiyo ni yako, lakini please unibakishie tu. That's what I told God. And I had a negotiation with God. I was afraid, but I did. And that's the one thing I was always afraid of doing. Just surrendering Ben to God.
You were afraid something bad would happen.
You see, when you tell God, do your thing, and as I'm chapa na, messed up as he was, I still love him. I still so truly love this guy, as in, I can't do it. It sounds silly, can't do without him. He's my support system, but he's a messed up support system. So can we work about this anyway? So I prayed, and that was one time my husband walked in on me praying, and he heard me telling God about him. And he stood there and he asked, "Yoni unanishtaki kwa God?" I knew. There's a friend, one of my best friends, is called Carol, like you. Carol atakwambia. Carol used to tell him, ni ule jamaa wake mwingine ameshow up. Because when my husband was drunk, I always knew he had a double personality. So when you'd even be harsh on me, I knew it wasn't him. It was just that other guy. That's another coping mechanism. It's just that other guy. So that guy akishia, sintabaki na Ben. So tutadili. Alafu, hata kumbuka. You see, he doesn't remember anything. So even if I tell him alinichapa, alinitukana, aliruka, he doesn't remember. So that guy checks out and then my husband is back. But when he's drunk, that guy checks in. So sometimes I knew when to know when that other guy has checked in. Silly, yeah? So he comes and says, and I'm praying, Carol, as in manishtaki kwa God. Nikajua, hata si yeye, ni ule jamaa, ni ule beshte yake. Tuende, nikaomba. Akatoka akaenda. Carol, I'm telling you, nilipoamka. Let me tell you, me, I can't pray on my knees. Today, I can't. Lazima uniekee pillow. Kneel down, miguu zangu zikakisha nguvu. Sina miguu hapa. Hapa my knees are done. I prayed, I can never pray anymore. Just on bare knees on the floor, I can't. They pain like hell.
Vile zilifanyishwa job.
Carol, you are praying all the time. You're on your knees. I mean, you're told to go on your knees. I was on my knees all the time. Aya. Akaenda. So when I got up, where I was lying flat, I had knelt and I got tired and I just flat, like this, praying. When I got up, I wasn't sure whether there was water that had spilled or what had gone on. It was just wet. And partly it was all tears and of course sweat. But I had done my bit. So fast forward, the story of SA comes up and I say no. 2 minutes later, my husband walked up to me holds my hand and he tells me, I need help. And I thought, sijasikia vizuri, I need help. Kama help gani hivi? I think we need to go to rehab. Music, call it ballet, I don't know what. I was confused. I stood up, I went and now sat to where he was and asked him, what did you just tell me? Are you really, really sure that's what you... sawa. Meanwhile, I had an exit plan. Let me tell you. I had an exit plan. Hata nyumba nilikuwa nishatafuta. And he was going to go away on a business thing. So my plan was akienda nahama. Mimi na watoi. He'll come and find his house proper tunaenda. So guess what, Carol? This is the devil now. My husband tells me he's ready to go to rehab. Do you know what ran through my mind? Na ile plan yangu ya kuhama sasa itaendaje?
Amekuja kukatia plans. Oh no.
And then you know, Carol, I never left. I never lived single. Nilitoka kwa mamangu nikaolewa. So I was looking for an opportunity
to do
me with my kids. So I called one of the guys he used to confide in. He's a doctor. And I said, hey, your friend has said he wants XYZ. Are you sure? Book call him. So back and forth, I said, yeah, this is what we're going to do. So 3 weeks later, well, I went to Nairobi. Back then, there were no rehab centers in Mombasa. So I went to Nairobi and went to look for rehab centers. And I looked and I looked and I looked and I looked. I couldn't find, came back, went back again. Finally, we found a really nice one up on Kahawa Sukari. It's called Precision Center. Awesome, run by a Christian lady. Amazing place. So 3 weeks later, we checked into rehab. This was 2 days before our 17th anniversary. You may ask, why didn't we wait, do the anniversary, and then he checks in? His friend, the doctor, told him December is a festive season. He had proposed that he wanted to go to rehab in January. We saw danger and said, you want to drink all you can in December and then check into rehab in January, you'll probably be dead. So do it now when it's harder so that you can also get a grip of yourself. So he did. He checked in 15th December 2016. Our anniversary comes up 17th, yeah. So I went, we checked him in. It was hard, but we had a good counseling session for his admission. And of course, it was a shock to them. The counselor was asking who I was to him, and I let him answer that question, and he said I was his wife. And the counselor was in shock. Said, your wife has brought you to rehab. You must be a very lucky man. Why? Because by the time someone checks into rehab, Carol, they've been left by everyone who matters. If you're married, your wife left, the kids left, your family has also deserted you. So chances of you being checked into rehab by someone would be just one of those friends who stick close to you till the end, or even a neighbor, or a passersby who found you in a ditch and decided to take you to a rehab, you know. But your spouse is hard. They're tired by that time. So yeah. And we began the journey, which lasted, 4 months? Yeah, it was hard. And I took the bus the next day and came back to Mombasa. I cried the entire journey from Nairobi. And it felt interesting. I felt like I had come from a funeral, my husband's funeral. And I was going to start this journey, this life without him. How when you go to rehab, you have no contact with your loved ones at all for the first 30 days. You don't, no phone calls, no nothing. So how am I going to do life without my husband? 30 days is too much. We are, even in his sickness, we are still friends. We talk every day. We do stuff together until he goes drinking. Carol, I cried in that bus. And I thought, I can't do this. I can't make it. I won't make it. It's just not right. Maybe it's a mistake. And of course, I had the fear. Will he make it? I had the fear. What questions am I going to answer to people? And then I thought, it's not even about other people. Did they even matter to me, first of all, when I was this way? The lady who sat next to me in the bus knew I was crying. I was sitting alone, but she was on this other aisle. When we got to Mtito, she woke me up. I refused to come out, but she woke me up and said, come, let's go and have coffee. I said, no. And she insisted. So we went out and she asked me, what is it? Why are you crying? You've been crying since Nairobi. Now we're in Mtito and you haven't stopped crying. Someone died. I said, no, just stuff. No, what is it? So I explained to her. She prayed with me. I don't even know her. She never even gave me her number. You know, that's it. And I didn't want to talk to anyone. So she prayed with me, got back in the bus. I slept. I didn't cry anymore. I actually slept. Got to Mombasa, and there I was looking at my children and wondering, what happens from here? They knew that their dad had gone to rehab. We didn't hide it from them. They were young, but we needed to have that conversation with them. They were happy that their dad had gone to get sorted because they were the unhappiest when he was not okay. So the journey started hard. I never used to sleep. I was up all night every day. Then I went to see a doctor. I went to see a counselor. I needed to talk to someone. And I remember being prescribed for some sleeping tablets or something. And I took one tablet this day. 2 hours later, my son asked me, Mommy, are you drunk? I said, why? You're talking funny. I had slurred speech. I was shouting.
So now he's also afraid. He's
He said,
wondering,
Mommy, have you drunk something? I said, no. This but you're behaving like Baba. And I said, no. Then he insisted. Then I said, okay, fine. I've taken a sleeping tablet. I was given a sleeping tablet. So I need to take this tablet and be able to sleep. He says, I don't think it's okay. You are not, then you sleep. You're just talking, yapping over. And I went to bed and I didn't sleep. I was up the whole night. In the morning, I started feeling sleepy. Now it was time to take the next tablet. So I took it. Then I was awake the whole day. What's going on? I'm too stressed. Even the dawas can't work. 3 days later, I'm in bed and I'm feeling numb. Like, pins and needles. Like, did I sleep on my hand? Funny, what's going on? I'm feeling funny on my neck. I'm feeling funny on my cheeks. Then suddenly, I can't feel myself. I'm pinching. I can't feel anything. I'm drinking water. It's mwagika. It's like I've had shindano ya kudungwa shinda. You know, when you have, Then I called my doctor and I said, you know what? I'm feeling this. And right there, I was actually having a stroke. Right there, I was having a stroke in my room on my bed. The doctor asked me, what is it? And I explained and said, are you taking anything? I said, yes. I gave him the prescription and he said, Stella, okay, don't get up, but then at the earliest time that you get out of that bed, you go flush those dawas in the toilet and don't take even any one more. And I said, don't ask me any buts, but don't take that dawa. But I was having a stroke. And it lasted, 48 hours? That's the time I had a negotiation with God. And I said, look, my husband is as good as dead right now. He's somewhere I can't reach him. He's of no help to me. My children need me. Now, if I die, what happens? These kids are like orphans. Nikajiita kamkutano. And I asked God, can we walk this journey together? Perhaps, I don't know, I'm missing something. I'm not sure what it is. And I got the acceptance that this is what I was facing. I went through the emotions. And slowly by slowly, I started just getting my own confidence. I was talking about it to a friend closely. I had a good support system that every time I traveled, my kids were with someone. Either someone came to my house or my children went to their, no, someone came to my house and stayed, Or I leave and then they come and take the children to their place. I'm not even in control of that. And when I would even come back, my kids were not at home. They're with those other extended parents that they have gotten. And they're still my support system till today. Till today. And that's how I coped, because I'd be on the bus on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday night I'm on the bus. I get to Mombasa, I'd find my children asleep if they're at home, and I'll still take them to school, then come back and sleep, or try and sleep. So we went on that journey. Then I started going for counseling in Nairobi, visiting my husband. Then my family got involved. They also went to visit him. Then it was time to the reconciliation, of course.
Because there had been
making peace with everyone. His dad, God bless his heart and rest his soul. Yeah. He was the most amazing person in this whole process. And his mom. Amazing. As in, I guess for them, they looked at me and wondered, now mtoto wa wenyewe jamani.
Meteswa.
Lakini wacha tusimame tu na yeye. So it was good. It was good. And of course, my dad-in-law went, they had a session, they had their forgiveness thing going on. It was holistic. While he was in rehab, my son is a swimmer, you know that. He had a gala, Kasarani, and I had to sign my husband out of rehab to go watch his son swim. And that day, he broke a Kenya record.
Amen.
That day, he broke a Kenya record. As in, he needed to have been there. And it was him and his dad and then my son. And there's a photo that they took that day remains the photo of the family.
You must share this photo
I will
with
share
us.
it. It's at home. It's like Wandario Jr., the Wandario. I mean, you see it and you can just see something. It's just, I see it and I know. And I know. So, yeah, it was, I don't know. I can go on about this story forever. Anyway, fast forward, we are done with rehab. We are about to finish rehab. And a program is being launched in our church. And I remember when they were talking about it, they played a small clip. I just see someone lifting a beer bottle, I see CG. It was very confusing what was going on, but there was a story being told. And of course I got, this guy was an addict, but now he's no longer an addict. Carol had cried throughout that whole clip, and wondering, God, will my husband never be like this? As in, like, will he come out and be strong? I was still having issues with believing that he will make it through. And of course, you are told by the world, once an addict, so tunaenda wapi? As in, there was a lot of fear. But he got out. And the day we came back here, the very day we landed Mombasa from rehab, was the day Celebrate Recovery was started. Amen. And so I told him, I signed you up. Nilikusign up. Ukukuja, hiyo ndio itakuwa AA. It's our AA. So we came that Friday. We listened. We heard everybody say, and he shared. And of course, listening to him now having to share his journey was different from what I know. So to understand what he was going through as well. So, and I remember him challenging everyone, saying, if you don't sort yourself now, something else will sort you. You'll either get well or you'll die. You'll either be 6 feet under or you'll be soaring high, doing something great for God. So it's been what? This March will be 6 years.
Wow.
And we're here.
Amen.
And we're here. How did I tell this story without crying?
Even me, I don't
I'm
know.
healed.
I don't know.
I'm healed.
So is there like a specific verse that carried you through this season? Or
Karo, the whole Bible was with me. Hata siwezi kuambia nilisoma Biblia wapi nika. And sometimes I didn't even read that Bible, by the way. Let me tell you what ministered to me the most. Music.
What specific? Is there a specific song that you can think about right now?
Let me tell you. But this one was later. Wait, it will come to mind, I'll tell you. But Carol, worship was it for me. Worship was it for me. I sank myself in worship, nothing else. That's the only way I could tell that, like, God just knew where I was and at a specific time, you know? I don't know.
And let me ask you, Stella, what was, in this whole journey, what was the hardest, what was like the lowest point for you in this whole journey?
Dealing with externals. You see, and this is, of course, permission granted. I'm in safe space and it's fine. Nasi siri, anyway. Addictions come with very bad habits, other habits. So,
Riders.
So women, nini, blah, blah. You have to deal with all of that. And then there's some who feel they're more entitled to be around your husband than yourself.
So they'd come into your space.
Yeah, they did. They did. Without an apology. Yeah, and on your face. And then this sweet husband of mine, he doesn't understand this. Ni nini nakusumbua, si niko hapa. Yeah, but now he knows better.
So how did you forgive him? How did you deal with? Because sometimes when this person is going through this journey, you have grace. Because like you are, I don't know how to put it, like the bigger person and who can act like a Christian. I'm the one who's suffering for Christ almost. And then God goes ahead and forgives this person. And this person actually now becomes a good person. And then all the yuckness and all the bitterness and all the tends to come up. How did you forgive him?
Before we started the conversation with you, I reminded you something that we did how many years back?
Yeah.
Sawa?
Yeah.
I reminded you something we did, it's 20 what? 20, almost 30 years, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, we are not that young, by the way.
But we're not so old.
But we're not so old either. But, yeah, because it goes back just after campus. But I've reminded you that. Yeah. So what does that tell you? I have memory the size of an elephant. I don't forget things to the detail. Let me tell you what God did for me. Nilipatiwa forgetfulness completely. Kabisa, mpaka today I forget things that I shouldn't forget. I kid you not. I sit, as in I would remind my husband things. Not now, back then. Ulinifanya, you did, to the detail. Wait until he went through that whole journey. Slowly by slowly, God just took away everything. Carol, I can't tell you, when you are asking me, what are the craziest things he did, I still, maybe now if I go and jog my memory, I'll remember something. Yani, God took away kila kitu.
He cleaned the slate.
He cleaned that slate for me. Kabisa.
Amen.
Kabisa. But not to say that sometimes there are things that happen, triggers.
Yeah.
And then when it happens, I deal with it
so
at that
how
point.
do you deal with it?
I talk about it. I tell him. I've had to learn how to tell him. Because there was one time I remembered something that hurt so badly. And I don't know what tree. Well, it was the season. It was Easter. So it just, the trigger came. And then I reminded him. Do you remember what? So he just looked at me. He couldn't remember, of course. And then he says, okay, what's the relevance? And I could see he was hurt. Like, why would you remind me of pain I caused you?
Then I already know I was a bad person,
it's okay. I'm sorry. But you see, in recovery, you have to come to terms with these things that you harbor. You can't separate.
Just say, it's okay.
You take an inventory. What is it that hurt you? Who hurt you? Where were you when you got hurt? You see, so I could go to a place that could give me a trigger and it will cause me pain. So if that's going to be the case, then I make sure I do not go to that place or go to that place and deal with the pain that it reminds me of. So then, pole I've...
So you had to go through that journey.
Yes.
Every time there's a trigger,
and you see, even when we joined CR, Celebrate Recovery, I went with him for support. I'm your support system. We go, I be taking you. But after a few weeks, I thought, wait a minute. This guy has his journey. I have mine. Because now I start to see I have bitterness, I have anger, I have unforgiveness, resentment. Carol, it's not easy. And guess what? I also did, even those people out there that were messing around with him, I took the bold step and told them, by the way, I forgive you for what you did. they get shocked. Like, how do you do that? And you're free. You free yourself from this bondage, because if I don't forgive, then where is the space to be forgiven? How does God forgive me if I cannot forgive? What could be so greater, so big for me not to forgive? If Christ went to the cross and died for me, who am I not to forgive you because you flirted with my husband? Nini, you see, it gives you a sense of freedom you can't explain. And I'll tell you what, Carol, we're in 2022. 2020, we took a trip to Western Kenya for work. A road trip with my husband. And we're just transversing the roads, and I was enjoying nature. You know me and nature. And then I was looking at the sunset, and I'm looking at we went through my Mahio. You know, the way it just looks beautiful. But guess what, Carol? I couldn't enjoy it. Right there, as I was looking at my Mahio, I started feeling I can't enjoy God's creation in totality, and I harbor so much inside. There's stuff I haven't let go. I could feel it, and I knew it. That night, and for the next 2 nights, I stayed up all night journaling stuff that was coming out. And I did, and I did, and I did, and I did, and I did. And it was all pointing to forgiveness. And I did that in writing, and I sent that to whoever I needed to send it to, and I was at peace. Complete peace.
So it first starts with surrender to Christ.
Surrender, accept, not to be in denial, you know? And like I said earlier, addiction is not it's not a moral issue. It's not. It's a sickness. There's a child standing there who is having homa or flu. He stands by the window to watch his friends play outside. He so much wants to go out and play, but he can't because he's sick. What am I saying? There's that guy standing there who is an addict. He's looking out of the window and seeing all these people living their normal lives. He wants to be part of that, but he can't because he's sick. So how do you get that child to come outside and play? Get them well. Get them well. They go to a doctor, they get medication, they're well. They'll be out playing the next day, isn't it? So this guy who is an addict, he needs to get well. Once he can sort out his addiction, he'll be able to be on this side of life and be with everyone else free. But when you look at it as a moral issue, you're going nowhere. And the stigma is too much, Carol. Too much. People are suffering. Women are suffering.
So what would you tell another woman in your shoes? What would be your take home for them?
Hey, it's not cliche. God will definitely place it in your heart where he's taking you. But he can only do that if you surrender. Carol, if I had not surrendered to God the day that I was in my room for hours praying and crying, I'll probably still be here today, struggling. But until I told God, enough is enough, he took over. Yeah, you just have to let God take the wheel. Kabisa, take the wheel and go. And of course, for me, the true test of in sickness, in health, in good and bad, for better, for worse. So help us, God. Hey! I lived it. I lived it.
Can you remember the song now?
Carol, I'm blank and I'm going to get emotional now.
It's okay.
I don't know. One of the songs, When Peace Like a River, ministered a lot to me. It had a lot of emotions, but somehow I just used to feel, this is it. I thank God we live in Mombasa. I used to go to the beach, just sit. Even now, if let's say we have a tiff with my husband and I disappear, he knows where to find me. I'll just go and sit by the water and run with it. So yeah, it's doable.
It is well.
It is doable. I wouldn't discourage someone to say, go, leave. But if you stand in the faith that God can do anything, He can do it. He can do it. And He has never let us down, and He's not about to.
Amen.
And there's a reason why He lets you go through something. There's a reason. I do know that I have spoken to a lot of ladies, many, quietly, and they have resolved issues. They had given up, but they saw that it's doable. But then the fear, the stigma is what is, people just won't come out and talk about it. They just won't talk about it. We shared our testimony in church. Everyone was like, I didn't know that, Stella. I didn't know. It was just like you. I didn't know. But because I was afraid. But I now see people who boldly talk about it. After maybe listening to me and me sharing my experience, they don't shy off. And it's a good thing because it helps you heal.
Because we all kind of walk around looking perfect, but you're all wounded.
Badly.
And sometimes, and I pray that even by just doing this show, that we're telling someone there that your story matters and that your brokenness has a way of shining the light of Christ. Because I think this faith becomes most real when we see someone falling. And I like that song by, I think it's by McLaughlin, that says, for a saint is just a sinner that falls down but gets up. Yeah. And it's really God's grace that gets us up. So thank you so much for sharing.
You're most welcome, and thank you for having me.
Anytime. And if you're watching and you're going through some really difficult times, I like the song that Stella just shared with us, that it is well, it is well with our soul. Christ is enough.
Yeah.
Christ is enough.
Totally enough.
God bless you.
Thank you, Carol.